this will be the start of the video. And for starters, how much of the new season have you watched at this point?
I haven't watched it anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Way to keep, I don't know what the word is. Way to keep to a promise, I guess.
Yes.
Um, what about, I'm fucking thirsty. This will not be the start of the video. We need to get better links, and we need to get snappier. We need to become fucking professionals. Is what we need to do. All right, but let me say in confidence that I have prepared nothing for this. Like last time we did this video, I rewatched the episode right before so that I would be on top of things, like know what to ask you.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that, one, you have no notes. I do have notes, which is good. But,
No.
and then two, that you haven't rewatched the episode since you last watched it like 3 months ago.
Yeah, now we rewatched it.
Perfect. So with that all in mind, let's do the episode. All right. Let me give you some context real quick because you're going to need it. The episode is called The Dog Days Are Over. And it's the one with Diane.
Which one? Yeah, she was the Vietnam.
Yes, exactly. And what I did when I took notes, I listed out each of the 10 bullets. So maybe we run through those, because I think that would be a good way to do this format. I do want to bring something up, and I want to make sure that it's not in my notes somewhere. I don't think I see it. But it's the idea of playing with form. Is it form? I think it's form. But so I don't know if you recall the episode, it's structured in a way that it uses the form of her
a BuzzFeed.
Yeah, the BuzzFeed article.
Yeah.
And then also there's kind of a watercolor look to each one of the introductions, but I guess it's not so important. It's just like the title sequence. What I've noticed about Netflix shows is the longer running the show is, every group of every TV show at some point, like after season 2, I think, decides to play more and more form. And BoJack is a really good example. Like there's that underwater episode, which I watched a video with the producer, or I don't know if it's the producer or if he's the writer. I forget what his name is. It's like Ralph something.
Yeah, and creator.
And he said in the interview that he just wanted to make an episode where no one talked. And I thought about that for a while recently, and how it's not that in that episode BoJack, like I don't know how to phrase this correctly. BoJack feels isolation because Ralph wants BoJack to feel isolation, because Ralph wants to make an episode without anyone talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, like, is obvious, I guess. Like the writer makes the characters do what they do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not as though Ralph ever had in mind by season 3 or 4, I forget what season that underwater episode is, to have BoJack feel so isolated until he was able to renew his show for more seasons, and he decided that he wanted to take more of an artistic challenge with his show. I just thought that was like really strange that you would subject a character that you've created to just the fancy of the limits that you can push yourself creatively. Any thoughts on that?
I'm not sure I really follow what you're saying.
Okay. So it's just the fact that he never planned on making, like, the underwater episode never had to happen. He just decided to make. Okay, I understand why it wouldn't make sense to someone else. Maybe I'm just in my head too much. But it's like BoJack, the character, isn't isolated in that episode because BoJack is isolated. BoJack is isolated because Ralph wants him to be isolated, which again I know is obvious.
I don't, I don't, I don't quite agree. I think he had this idea for making an episode where nobody talks. He doesn't make it until season 3 because there's not an opportunity for that. So I do think it is that BoJack is isolated.
No,
He
I
didn't just
disagree.
shove that. He didn't just shove that episode in wherever he could. He waited until there was the right time.
Yeah, he waited, but also only because he was renewed to season 3. Like, he wouldn't have attempted to do that in season 1 because it would have been too risky. But now that he's got a longer contract, Ralph, or whatever his name is, he's able to do more. He's able to take more liberties artistically and creatively. And I think that's what we're seeing across a lot of Netflix TV shows, that the longer they are running, the more chances the creators will take artistically. Or do you disagree? And I think I think it's like a natural progression to kind
Yeah.
of sit behind the image of, like BoJack's almost like a fable, is what I've realized, and that there's animals, and then there's kind of like some messages that are passed along to you, but it hides behind that guise for the first 2 seasons, and then they start experimenting more with like drug-induced hallucinations. This episode with the BuzzFeed article. What are some other ones? The monologue episode
Mm-hmm.
and the underwater fish episode, and I'm sure there's more too. But I just think as we continue, as BoJack continues to move along, what's going to happen is we're going to see more and more experimentation from the creators, and it's not going to be because there was ever any like intention to do that from the start, as much as it's just like the creators wanting to challenge themselves.
So do you not like it?
No, I love it. I love it. But
See, I don't like it.
you don't like those episodes that I
I
listed
like
out.
the fish episode, but and I mean, I guess I like the episodes, but I mean, I've watched, I don't even remember, maybe half of season 5, and I feel like the story has barely moved forward at all.
Half of season 5, and you think the story's barely moved at all.
Yeah, basically, Mr. Peanut Butter started dating someone new. The only real progression in the story. Everything else is just flashbacks, and I don't even remember what, but nothing's happened, I feel like.
Let's see. Well, I mean, so season episode 3 is about Mr. Peanut Butter and his new girlfriend.
Mhm.
And then I'm trying to think of the other story arcs. There's Todd and his robot, and him just kind of accepting that he's asexual and not trying to force anything with his one friend. One or the other. Like what else has happened mid-season?
I don't know. Let's move on though.
All right,
I
yeah,
had
shorter
my
link.
unconscious season.
Snap your links. Snap your links. Um, Wait, but so do you fall that you don't like the experimentation?
I like the experimentation, but I think it's not. They need to hone it in.
There's I forget what YouTube channel it is, but I was watching a couple of their videos and I just kind of and also Norm Macdonald was watching an interview with him recently. He said something to the effect of in sitcoms characters can't change. They just have to say the same thing differently. And do you feel as though BoJack Horseman on episode 2 has hit that rut where it's just saying the same thing but differently?
Um,
And I guess it's not really fair to ask by episode 2 because your context is really more like episode 6 or wherever you are.
yeah,
But so where you are right now, do you
but
think
all
that?
the previous seasons as well.
Right, yeah.
Um, Let me think about that.
By season 5, is BoJack Horseman out of things to say?
Um, I think the question we're really trying to answer is, do the characters change?
Yeah, I like that. Let's rephrase the question.
And another question I think we're trying to answer here is, how enjoyable would it be someone who's never watched BoJack Horseman before, and they watch it all the way through, but the order of episodes is random. I think if you are able to really enjoy it, even if the episodes are not in the correct order, then the answer is no, the characters don't change.
I'm just writing these down so we can come back to them.
So I feel a sitcom is something like, Seinfeld, where there's no, Seinfeld's the obvious example where there's no progression in the
Mhm.
storyline, there's no growth or change in the characters. You could, pick any episode and you're just hanging out with the same people again. Um, but can you say that about BoJack Horseman? And my current answer is tentatively yes. Um, like, you know, what what the fuck has BoJack fucked up recently? You know, what is Mr. Peanut Butter going on about? All the characters, none of them have really changed much since the first season. So I think yes, it's a sitcom.
Wow. Mr. Peanut Butter hasn't changed. Has Diane changed? Or it's just like they change in small ways that are kind of masked as being much bigger. Like Princess Carolyn, this might be later in the season, but she's finally ready to adopt a baby as a mother. And like before, in previous seasons, she wanted to do it with, is the mouse named Ralph? Is that right? Mark?
Yeah, my internet's been a little spotty today.
All right. So what I was saying is Princess Carolyn earlier wanted to marry and then raise a child. That was like her big goal in life,
Mm-hmm.
aside from her career. And in this season, Princess Carolyn just like becomes okay with the idea of raising a child by herself. And so what I was saying is that I think the characters change in small ways that are masked as being.
I don't think that's a change. That's just an adaptation.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was getting at. Is that these are small changes masked as big changes, but it's really more like they've just adapted to the circumstances.
Yeah.
What about So what about Diana?
And
Diane. I've seen this show.
Diane changed.
Because I don't think she's changed at all, actually. I think she might be the most rooted in her ways. You know, like even when she was married to Mr. Peanut Butter, she rejected everything that Mr. Peanut Butter would do. And like she was right to, because that's not like, she doesn't like parties. But she's still the same way. She hasn't changed. What about okay, let's get to the horse. BoJack. All I can really think of is, like you were saying earlier, BoJack's just done more shitty things. That's really it.
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of just rapid firing through the remainder, which is Todd, I guess. Maybe just Todd. And Todd has just kind of all that's happened to him is he's accepted who he is, I think. So yeah, these characters are stuck in their ways. But you know what I was going to send you earlier before I sent you the text to do this again is I was going to send "The West Can Wait While We Relate" is greater than the quote about changing. The reason why I didn't send you the text is because I couldn't find the quote quickly enough. Do you remember it offhand, or I can try to find it?
Yeah, people. God, stupid quote I'll never hear the end of. Yeah, people. It's something along the lines of, it's funny how people can see how much they've changed from the past, but they don't think they will change in the future. That's the gist of it.
Yeah, and initially I was so hot on the idea when you first said it, but the more I think about it, the less and less I actually believe it.
In what way?
I think we're all sitcom characters, Mark. And in what way?
So you think you haven't changed?
I think fundamentally I haven't changed. There's I have no concept of this idea of the soul, but like at my core, I will always be the same person. I don't think you develop
You think
at
you're
your
the same
core.
person as you were in high school?
Now, see, yeah, the question is when do you stop changing? And so, okay, I write down a lot of notes, right? And I've been looking through them because I'm trying to compile something to write a script. And what I've realized is there is clearly a different me in high school, very clearly.
Mhm.
But around sophomore year of college, like late sophomore year to now,
Plateaued.
what?
You plateaued.
Wait, say again?
You plateaued. Never mind.
Plateaued. I've heard I heard so many different things. Yeah, but yeah, I have plateaued. And actually, I would say that what some of the stuff I was writing in sophomore year is even more advanced than the things I'm thinking of now. So that's a difference of 6 years, I think.
Hmm?
I haven't changed.
Uh,
What about you? I mean, do you think that you've changed in 6 years?
well, why are you saying 6 years? That's from high school.
No. That's not from high school. That's from sophomore year.
Sophomore year was not 6 years ago.
Okay, 5 years.
Sophomore was 4 years.
4 years.
um, if I changed in sophomore year, I'm gonna say, hmm, I changed. I guess what aspects are you thinking about
I'm
yourself
thinking
that you
about
haven't changed?
right. So I have the benefit of this record of thoughts,
Yeah, I guess.
and all I can tell you is the thoughts have only developed since sophomore year, but there haven't been any completely new thoughts. Like I was saying, senior year of high school, there's this one note about this like 15-year plan where I'm going to work for Google every single summer, never go out, uh, leave college with a Corvette, and marry in 5 years. It was just like it was very career focused.
Yeah,
Senior year of high school or family. I don't know, career, family, like just a very like not normal but guided path.
yeah.
And then sophomore year, there's just like who I am now. And then a little bit, I think the one thing that has changed is there's a lot of a lot of romanticizing romance back sophomore year. And then if I look at what I've been writing recently, there's none of that. If anything, it's more like I like not romanticizing. I like pointing out the crudeness of romantics. Like the lyric from Father John Misty's Disappointing Diamonds.
Oh yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah. Just like the entire lyrics of that song.
Yeah.
That's what I like to romanticize. Or that's what I
Yeah.
like to observe about romance now. Instead of instead of whatever terrible poetry I was writing sophomore year about love. So I think that's all that's changed. But again, I still think that I'm the same person at my core as who I was sophomore year in college 4 years ago and some.
I think I'm the same person. It's just would say I have a great image in my head to describe it. I'm not really going to be able to describe this image very well. It's like imagine you are, let's say about 5 circles.
Okay.
Each circle represents one of your personality traits.
Okay.
I think these circles can get bigger or smaller. Okay.
I like this analogy.
But the word or the personality traits in each circle does not change.
I like that a lot. Do you have any more to say about the circles?
I could come up with a little more.
Well, no. I mean, if there's nothing more to say, then don't say more. I liked it a lot, though. I think you're right. Have you ever seen those? I think they create them for athletes, but it's like triangles, kind of that point out different ways, and then like the cones will be out more than some cones, and the cones will represent speed, strength, etc. Yeah. I mean, that's basically what you're bringing up here.
Yeah.
Here's something that my sister and I were talking about recently. So I got a good bit. I haven't really said it to anyone, so it's gonna be rough, but we'll just jump into it. Thanksgiving Day, my mom has this smirk on her face.
Mm-hmm.
And a reminder, my mom's divorced. And every Thanksgiving, we go to this family's house. It's the Wilsons, the Vegas. I don't know if I should be saying last names, but I am. I guess they're so generic that no one's going to find it. No one's watching this anyway. Wilson's, Vegas, and then some other family. I forgot their name. And we all get together at the Wilson's house, and we have Thanksgiving dinner together. Well, my mom,
family friends.
It's my mom's friends, really.
Oh wait, how long have you been doing this?
Like the past 6 years, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. And so my mom, she's the only divorced one at this gathering of families. Mm-hmm. And Thanksgiving morning, she's got this real big smirk. Now, the night before, she had gone out, and my little brother and I were like, "Where are you going?" And she said, "Out." We were just like, "Well, where's out?" And she says, "I gotta go." Walk out the door. And the night before that, she had dinner plans with one of her friends, Rachel. Well, Thanksgiving morning, come to find out, Rachel is really Joseph, this guy that she's been seeing for a month.
Yeah.
And she just drops this news that she's been dating this man for a long time. Then I also a month. Then I also come to find out that she's inviting Joseph to this Thanksgiving dinner. I've never met Joseph.
Yeah, didn't know he existed.
Didn't know he existed until that morning. So let's fast forward to Thanksgiving dinner. Now, also the other thing too is the Wilsons have these 2 daughters that are just the most basic people.
How old, roughly?
They're 27 and 23, I think.
All right.
They're both beautiful, though, but very basic.
Mm-hmm.
And the mother of the Wilsons, she just kind of exhausts me.
Yeah.
Like, being in the same room as her is exhausting.
Yeah.
So I've already got some anxiety about going to this whole thing, because just like I don't want to have to chit chat with these 2 people that are relatively the same age as me and do the whole monkey dance.
Yeah.
Now I've also got to meet this man that's been boning my mom the past month for the first time in front of all of them.
Yeah.
So, okay, fast forward to the dinner. We show up. It's my two siblings, my two younger siblings, and then my older sister.
You have you don't
Yeah,
have an older sister.
well, my younger older sister.
So all your siblings.
Well, no, not all my siblings. My younger older sister was not there initially,
Oh, okay.
but she's the one that is best at doing the whole chit chat routine.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh God, being the oldest one, but I'm naturally going to have to talk to this man first, which
Yeah.
is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
But this is how it happens. Joseph walks into the door. Mind you, we've been there for like 10 minutes now. Joseph
Okay.
walks through Joseph walks through the door. My mom says hi to him, and then that plateaus, just like that. That's it.
Wait, who
So,
says hi?
what?
Who says hi?
I said plateau.
Wait, but you said who says hi to him?
My mom says hi to him.
Your mom says hi.
Yeah, and that's literally
Plateaus.
it. That's all that happens. So I'm with my younger brother and my youngest sister. We're eating grapes around the table, talking to the Wilson daughters. And on the other side of the circular table, it's not that big, is Joseph, my mom. And I'm waiting for my mom to introduce me to the man, but that never happens. So now she's put me in a position where I've got to introduce myself to the man. So
There was
eventually,
no.
no, it was just like, hi, Joseph. She said hi to Joseph, like check that box off, and then resumed just standing. I don't even know if they talked with each other. I think she was so anxious too. So after basically working my way around the table, like I'm on this end, he's on the opposite end, and there's
Yeah.
just appetizers along the perimeter of the
Yeah.
circle table. After working through each one of the different snacks, I finally get to Joseph.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hi, you must be Joseph. We've been looking at each other for like the past 30 minutes, not
Yeah.
talking, not acknowledging one another's presence.
Yeah.
And he's like, hi, nice to meet you. And then I just didn't know what to say. Like, I didn't want to chit chat. I didn't want to be in the position in the first place.
Yeah.
I'm the one that has to go and introduce myself. And I purposely told my mom not to tell me anything about him so that I could be the one that met him. But I was
Yeah.
working under the assumption that he would just like start rattling off some details about himself,
Yeah.
or my youngest older sister would have been there to be the chit chatter to
Yeah.
get that going. And
Yeah.
and so it was literally just like hi, done. And then maybe I made a joke about one of the appetizers. And it wasn't until we were playing charades that like the two of us really started talking. And he like at one point mentioned that he was really into chess, and that instantly creates this bond.
Yeah.
Whenever something stupid like that, where it's just
Yeah.
like I like this, you like this, I always think of the lobster, and then I think kill me for being a part of this whole joke. But the great thing is my youngest older sister, she comes in through the door, and I'm expecting her just to like march right up to Joseph. She doesn't.
Oh boy.
I don't think she ever talked to Joseph. And she's also like, if I'm honest about my relationship with my mom and like all of us to my mom, she's the one that's closest to my mom. And so she had no idea about Joseph until that morning. And then she also never even met Joseph, really,
Yeah.
except like his physical presence. So
Yeah.
the whole thing was just a joke, a mess, a real hoot. I'm not sure how we got on this.
I can't remember. Let's do. We're talking about the personality circles.
Yeah, it's not related at all.
No relation.
No relation. Okay, but okay, let's back up. I think we both agree the characters do not change.
Yeah.
And
Your point is that you don't change. People don't change.
I
In
don't
real
think
life.
that I've changed.
Or
Yes.
others you haven't changed.
But and you think that you've got this idea of this circle where you fill. Oh, no, I remember how this whole thing all started. We just needed to backtrack a little bit. I'm not really sure how. Oh, yeah, yeah, okay. Okay. So back to the circles. Remember the 5 circles because that's a brilliant piece. Because I do have a question from this.
Yeah.
So later, like 3 days later, I'm driving my sister back to uni, and we're talking in the car, and she brings up Joseph and how she's just like all weirded out about it, whatever.
Well, you're
Youngest
younger or
sister.
older.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one thing that she brought up is the fact that she likes to go home most weekends while she's at uni. And what she'll do is she'll just lay on my mom's bed, and then the two of them will start talking and hanging out together.
Mhm.
Well, she had spoken to my mom the night before about how much time she and my mom are going to be able to spend now that she's dating this guy. And she brought up a great point, which is that time, but more importantly, energy is a limited resource that people have. So when you get into a relationship like that, it's not that you're able to create more time, like you don't have more time and energy to spend with other people. You just have how much time you would have spent with people before this new person comes into your life.
Mm-hmm.
You agree with that, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was a great bit because I was contrasting that to the bit Samantha says in Her about how love is a box that you can fill more and more love with. It's like this infinite storage.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my sister's right. It's not. There is a limited supply of energy and time that someone has. Like I know that I get exhausted hanging out with people, no matter if I
Yeah.
like them or not. And
Yeah.
so this is my question to you. The circle thesis that you have
Yeah.
is are the circles in their uh, in their area, is there a limited amount of area that you can move in between circles, do you think, per person? So I like this a lot.
Wait. Ask that again.
Like let's let's picture the circles instead as like 5 cups. That still works, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do is the amount of water in those cups always the same in some?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I think this is great model. I think you've done some really good work here, Mark.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm on board with your methodology. We should sell this to San Fran. People get to learn it. That was good. That was a really good tangent. I don't know how great of a link it will be, how snappy it'll be, but that was damn good. I appreciate the conversation there. All right, we should probably get into the actual episode itself unless you want to say something on the
Yeah.
circles.
Let's go on.
All right, chapter 1 of the BuzzFeed article or bullet one. I'm not really sure. The bullet says reconnect with your ancestral roots,
Mhm.
and the note I have here is I think this is a direct quote from Diane. It's more foreign than you expected, but that's good. To find yourself, you need to go. You need to get away. That was a botch. Let me say that again. It's more foreign than you expected, but that's good. To find yourself, you need to go. You need to get away. One more time. No, I'm joking. Do you believe that to find yourself, you need to get away?
No.
And, well, to defend yourself there. Because this is definitely like a big millennial idea that
Yeah.
you've got to go through experiences.
Yeah.
And often those experiences are expensive and foreign.
Yeah. I mean, millennial idea of an experience is traveling to a foreign country. Just, it's eating at Rock and Roll Cafe Paris.
Best frog legs in Paris.
But yeah, I don't even like the phrase find yourself. You're not finding anything. I think everybody knows who they are.
Well, I don't know there. Okay, two things. And they're right beside each other, I think. No, they're not. But Father John Misty, because I wrote the whole thing up yesterday, been thinking a lot about it. He has some quote at the end. This is a great. I need to stall. Do a little dance or something for the viewers. There's the line at the end of his newest album. And I haven't listened to the new album enough to remember it.
Yeah.
But it's something I've nearly stalled enough. It's something like this makes for great TV. Wow. I'm not going to find it because
Is it a lyric?
yeah, it's a lyric.
On the last song?
Yeah, it's about people. Oh,
Will be
people.
people, and there's nothing much
Yeah,
they
yeah,
can do
yeah.
about it.
People we know so little about ourselves, but just enough to want to be anybody else. How does that add up?
Let's say that one more time.
I need to clear my throat, but whatever. People we know so little about ourselves, but just enough to want to be nearly anybody else. How does that add up? Do you not sometimes feel that way?
Yeah, well, kind of disagree. I mean,
Oh.
what don't you know about yourself? I mean, if I were to describe a scenario or a situation, would you be able to confidently say how you would react or how you would act in that situation? And I think the answer is yes.
Like, I think I would, because I'm almost contradicting what I was saying earlier about having some core idea of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
But no, you're right. I think you're wrong there. Sorry. I think you're wrong there. And that there are times people surprise, people surprise. So I don't know. I think I could give you a pretty good guess, but I don't know that I have the exact answer every time. Something I was thinking about today is how someone who really loves the pursuit of a career might be the most in the moment person because it's foolish, not foolish. But why waste your energy thinking about what you could be doing instead of just enjoying what you are doing? Right? Like if you got to do this 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
then be present. Thoughts on that?
Um,
And I mean for even jobs that maybe people don't like the man who's doing garbage removal probably does not enjoy garbage removal, but I'm sure if you tried hard enough and you kind of become delusional, because I think there is a degree of being delusional, being so present required that you could start skipping around, humming a tune, and waving to the neighbors as you do your job and
yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah. Um, yeah, I agree.
Well, this kind of goes back to the first episode that we did about. I had a question about whether it's all about perspective, and that's really all that matters, like your attitude towards what's happening. And if you in choosing what if let's assume that you can choose your attitude towards something, I think you can.
Mhm.
Why not just always look at things positively?
I think the only real problem with that is then you have no real incentive to change anything to potentially make it better.
But okay, so this is the issue that I have with being in the moment. Because you're right. So if you're always present in the moment, and I'm not saying that that's the way that you should go about living, but if you are, then yeah, you have like reached this state of content. But also, what you throw out is any idea of the future. You
Mhm.
only exist in the moment, which I don't think is a way that you can exist in our society. But does it matter if that method would give someone like just infinite, not infinite, but what's an extended amount of contentness by being present? And then the other question I have is does being present become nullified by being in pain? Like let's say you've really adopted what I'm putting down
Mhm.
and you haven't thought about anything in the future. So you find yourself in the streets and you're cold. Are you able to subvert feeling cold by being present, or are there pains and struggles that you can't overcome by being in the moment? What do you think?
Mm, good question.
We only ask the best.
I think. I mean, obviously, there are some things we can't overcome. Um, Basic needs, food, shelter. Um,
Like, do you think that you can overcome starvation by being present,
Clearly
or
not.
or is being well? I mean, you die at some point. You die, but does being present allow you to overlook the fact that your belly aches so much? Or does being present really mean that you be focused on how hungry you are? So, like, I'm getting
We're
lost in
too
my own thought
focused.
here.
Yeah.
What?
I think we're too focused on. extreme of being hungry. Give me a normal example that I can relate to.
Cold.
Cold.
Hmm.
I think being present in that case, because obviously there are times when I'm outside in the cold, and sometimes I think, fuck, it's really cold outside, and other times I forget about it. And I forget about it when I'm doing something else.
So
I'm more,
being present and in the moment is actually more like being the most animalistic self that you can be.
what do you mean by that?
It's really you kind of reacting to the environment instead of thinking about, yeah, it's really you just reacting. That's what being present means. I'm cold, so I'm gonna put on a coat. Um, I'm here on this mountain and I think it looks pretty, so I'm gonna look at it for a while.
Hmm.
That's what being present is. So it's you
Yeah,
reacting to your environment. That's all it is.
yeah, yeah.
What a lame thing to do.
Be present.
If it's just reacting to your environment, it's no different than if I put my hand on the stove, I'm like, ow, that hurts. I don't want to do that. Or is there a difference?
I don't understand why you think that's a lame thing.
Well, lame is the wrong word. I shouldn't have used lame. Redact that. But I think it's interesting that this is something that our generation is so focused on being present, and then again, kind of not. But it seemed
Yeah,
to
I
be
think
a
it's
good
the
thing.
opposite. I think our generation is focused on the opposite. It's always being somewhere else, usually on the phone.
But if you're on the phone, aren't you present in like you would not, oh man, you would not be present watching a video if you weren't actually focused on watching it, right?
Yes, correct.
And I think we can agree that watching a Snapchat video is not being present. So
Yeah.
what is the delineation between someone being present and someone being,
It's where their mind is when they're doing it.
I don't think it is where their mind is because wait. Let me think about it. So like you'll get flack watching a Snapchat video while you're in Hawaii, right?
Hmm.
For not being in the moment.
Hmm.
And that's really because of what? Fundamentally, you're just in a different place than normal. Is that why that's seen as not being present?
No, I think it's
Or is it like the you should be in the mindset of vacation and this is, well, I would still consider watching a Snapchat video, not that I would vacation though. I don't know.
but you don't watch a Snapchat video because you're really interested. Nobody, how many people watch a Snapchat video versus how many people just keep pressing the button until it goes to the next one?
Oh man. Right. It like becomes this job that you have to do at 6 p.m.
Yeah. Shit, I have to click through all the Snapchat stories.
Do we want to keep tackling this, or do you want to move on to something else?
Let's move on.
Okay. That was a great bit, though. All right. Let's see. Where were we? Well, okay. What about the idea that it has to be somewhere foreign in order to find yourself? Do you think that you can go to, say, DC?
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
I think so too. I don't think we have to dwell on this any longer than that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so at one point, Diane, she puts on the hat that she's in. Where is she in? Do you remember? Is it Vietnam?
Yeah.
She puts on one of those straw hats. I think they're made of straw.
Yeah.
And she looks at herself in the mirror and she says to herself, I am wearing a costume. And like in her head, this is some ancestral garb that her long lost relatives that her dad won't tell her about would have been wearing.
Mhm.
So remind me of your roots, Mark. I think it's just German.
Oh, it's a lot more than that.
Well, just give me the dominant one, or the one that you feel closest to.
I feel closest to. I don't
Yeah.
feel close to any of them.
So then I guess it'd be American. If that would
Yeah,
be a
I'm
root.
American.
But it's not really fair then. And then I mean, I don't really have any. I don't feel like I feel any affiliation to any nation or country. I'm from
You
planet
clearly
Earth.
feel affiliation to America.
Based on what?
You're American.
I don't know.
You're an individualist.
I think I'm from Earth, and that's really it. All right. My question, and I don't think we can do much with it, but I'm going to ask it anyway and see if anything comes up, is have you ever worn anything that you thought was going to make you feel more connected to, or been given anything that you thought was going to make you feel more connected to your ancestors and just thought, this is this doesn't make me feel more connected at all?
No.
Fantastic. Then the last thing from this chapter, that's just chapter one,
God.
is she's constantly interrupted by her phone while on vacation with people trying to reach her.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on going off the line during vacation?
Um, I think the idea of going off the line is, I mean, I think taking it to the extreme of just leaving your phone in the hotel is a little absurd. I guess I guess I can't relate to going off the line because I feel I'm not very much on the line to begin with.
Mm. Well,
Like I know some people don't want some people can't go a day without some people can't go an hour without checking something online.
yeah.
Whereas I don't feel that. I don't there's nothing I feel like I need to check.
Do you, so on the San Francisco trip, I noticed that you would browse your phone in the morning. I guess my question is, was there any value add to doing that?
I think I browse just to see what's going on in the world.
And I guess my question is,
the value that adds is that I feel like I
You're
know what's going
informed.
on in the world.
Because so one thing that I've been really good about is not reading the news for the past like 2 years.
It's not what?
Not reading the news for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And so like even this whole season of BoJack was an introduction to the Me Too movement to me, which is kind of absurd. Um, and all I really hear about is the Indianapolis Colts and how they're doing. But I guess my question is, how important do you actually think it is to stay informed about what's going on in the world?
I think that's the wrong question to ask.
Go
I
on.
think the question you should be asking is, well, I don't know what the question you should be asking.
Because like one thing that really stuck with me is one time, I think it was James Murphy, ended a concert that I was either at or watching on YouTube, I forget, with um, take care of your community. And I thought that was a strange thing to finish a concert with. But then like, driving around maybe a couple of months later, I was thinking about it while I was back at home. And that's just a very appropriate thing to say. It's just like if everyone took care of their community, we'd all be better off. But also taking care of your community makes a lot of sense because it's way too difficult to solve all the world's problems.
Yeah.
But if you can bring the scope in a little bit, you can just be that like really good neighbor on your cul-de-sac. It has an impact to at least
Yeah, I see
20
what you're
people.
saying. I think
Yeah.
taking the more humanitarian aspect of knowing what's going on in the world. Whereas I don't pay attention to the news out of out of like an innate need to make the world a better place. I think I pay attention to the news for entertainment.
Ah, okay. I have nothing else to say then. But I mean, I think that's fair too. That's, yeah. People take themselves way too seriously and then put themselves in power and become cucks.
Yeah.
News is entertainment. I like that. I'm quite fond of that idea. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is, do you remember that one time uh, this past May? I think I'm just bragging right now, but we drove up to Tony's, and I had been playing music from my phone, which was plugged into the aux cord. And we got out of the car when we arrived at Tony's house, and I just kept my phone in the aux cord for the
Yeah,
entire
yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
And I remember stepping out, and you said, "Your phone." And I said, "Everyone that I want to be with is here." Left the phone in the car for the entire rest of the weekend. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. This wasn't brilliant.
I just thought, that's a scene that you'd see in the movie.
That's a
Okay.
romantic.
All right. Number two.
Jesus.
Number two's chapter title is "You're a Tourist Here." I don't have any notes to say other than bringing that up as an interesting title to a chapter about whenever you go to a foreign place that you are in fact a tourist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure that counts for anything. All right.
Uh,
Next one, unless you have something to say about that.
I got nothing.
All right. Yeah.
Move on.
Number 3. Because you're single now and you can do whatever you want. Do you know my favorite quote in When Harry Met Sally, that excellent think piece about relationships with men and women?
I know your favorite quote from Harry when Harry met Sally.
Wait, was that you confirming that you do know it or that you don't know it?
I don't.
Oh, because it'd been really good if
What
you
an absurd
it up.
thing to assume I know. Your favorite quote from a movie that we've never watched together.
Wait, let me read the quote because I pulled it up just in time. Okay, I'll just read the whole thing. This could take a while. This is a novel. When Joe and I started seeing each other, this is Sally speaking, we wanted exactly the same thing. We wanted to live together, but we didn't want to get married because every time anyone we knew got married, it ruined their relationship. They practically never had sex again. It's true. It's one of the secrets that no one ever tells you. I would sit around with my girlfriends who have kids, and actually, one of my girlfriends who has kids, Alice, and she would complain about how she and Gary never did it anymore. She didn't even complain about it, now that I think about it. She just said it matter of factly. She said they were up all night, they were both exhausted all the time. The kids just took every sexual impulse they had out of them. And Joe and I used to talk about it, and we'd say, we're so lucky we can have this wonderful relationship and we can have sex on the floor and not worry about the kids walking in. We can fly off to Rome on a moment's notice. And then one day, I was taking Alice's little girl for the afternoon because I'd promised to take her to the circus. And we were in the cab playing I Spy. I Spy a mailbox, I Spy a lamppost. And she looked out the window and she saw this man, this woman, who were with these 2 little kids. And the man had one of these little kids on his shoulder. And he said, I spy a family. And I started to cry. I just started crying. And I went home and I said, the thing is, Joe, we never do fly off to Rome on a moment's notice. And then Harry says, and the kitchen floor. And then Sally says, sadly, not once. It's this very cold, hard Mexican ceramic tile. Brilliant quote from
Yeah,
When Harry
that's a
Met
good quote.
Sally. Whew. All right. You have anything to add?
Is that going somewhere?
Um, Only if you want it to.
Let's stay on this bit.
All right. I mean, you're gonna have to add more color then.
Shit.
Well, let me throw the next one in because the next one's related. So chapter 4 is to meet new people. So to meet new people, and because you're single now and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Let's blend those together and see what we can do with them.
Yeah.
But I have no initial notes.
The new person I think she meets in Vietnam is ironically an American.
Yes. Which is great because that's kind of like language is a barrier, right?
Yeah.
So I think for most people, that's what happens.
Yeah. That's
Go on.
interesting. I mean, that just goes back to eating at the Rock and Roll Cafe in Paris.
Right. It's this comfort, the familiarity. Well, that's what the Rock and Roll Cafe is. I think the having to talk to someone who speaks English, that's just because you can't speak whatever language whatever the language of the country that you're in is.
Yeah.
But what about the idea of being single and every day is an opportunity to meet someone new and you know anything could happen when you walk out the door, be swept off your feet.
I think, I just think it's the mostly romanticized, you know, perspective, romanticized view. I don't think really You know, maybe some people live like that, but I don't think most people even really, really want to live like that.
Oh, that's good. I agree. And I know I agree because I've tried doing the romanticized thing. I don't think I told you guys this, but freshman year, I know I've told you this part, I know I've told you. Freshman year, I was thinking about transferring, and it was really because I didn't feel like I was making enough friends. So instead of
Hmm.
transferring, what I decided to do, I don't think I told you this part, is get to know a new person's name every day, just one person.
Hmm.
And I did it for, I think, like 26 days in a row. But then on the 27th day, I realized that I knew all these people's names, had them all on my phone, but I had no want to actually do anything with them after just getting their name
Yeah,
and put my phone.
yeah,
And I stopped. And I guess all I'm really doing is agreeing through exercise with what you said, and that people don't really want every day to meet someone new.
hmm
Any more to add?
no. Unfortunately, I might have to cut this short. I have a dinner to make.
God, blimey. Wait, I mean,
Um,
hold on. We're gonna
yeah,
speed through these. No. We're gonna speed through these. Get out of your natural habitat. Number 5. Home is a place to repeat negative patterns. Thoughts on that? Go.
it's a place to repeat negative patterns. Um, I don't think I don't, I don't quite agree with that idea. I don't think specifically home is a place. I think you repeat your negative patterns wherever you go.
Hmm,
Um, yeah,
I agree. Because of course, when you go on vacation, you start to fall in the pattern there.
yeah.
That's good. I think that's a good distinction to make. I'm going to skip all the way to 10 because I think it might be the most interesting.
All right.
Because you've got to leave to come back home. That's what number 10 is. And and so I don't really care for the title. But a line that Diane says is, I'm going through some shit. I just need a friend right now. I thought that was a great line. Not because it's like a well crafted literary masterpiece, but just because I think it's a good line that should probably be said more often in people's day to day.
Yeah.
That's all really. I just liked it. Um, and then the last, what is this? This is fucking long. Oh. We're gonna finish on what she finishes on. I want your thoughts on it, and then that's a wrap.
All
Sound
right.
good?
Yeah.
Okay. This is what Diane says in the end. The real reason you go to Vietnam is because you accidentally see your soon-to-be ex-husband kiss someone else. At first you think, oh, it's a fling, whatever, they're drunk, it's a party. Then he puts his hand on the small of her back, exactly the way he used to do to you. It means, I got you. And when he did it to you, it made you feel safe. And you realize he will never do that to you again, and it breaks your heart again. After you thought your heart was so broken that it could never get any more broken, you thought it was safe, but it somehow finds a new way to break. Because even though you're the one who asked for this, now that you've got it, you're completely adrift, with no compass, no map, or sense of where to go or what. So you go to Vietnam. You think you might find community, a sense of connection to something bigger, but you don't. In fact, you feel more alone than you did before you left. But you survive. You learn that you can survive being alone. Thoughts? Give us a punch.
There was a lot to that.
Yeah, there's a lot to
Could
that.
be a thought.
Is it like I've sent it over to you so that you can reread it if you want. But I guess I can ramble while you form an opinion. And the things that I'd like to point out are just the way that someone physically touches you in a relationship is very different. And I would imagine, not that that's ever happened, that it would hurt to see that same person touch touch someone else in that way. Because like there is a element, a very strong emotional element to being physically to have touched someone physically, and that like you've seen them naked, you know all of the you literally you've seen them naked, you know all of the different strange traces to their body. I just thought that that was good that they put that physical element in there.
Yeah, I agree. Um,
Because it'd be too easy to just mention uh, like how someone makes you feel, but the more relatable vantage point I think is how someone physically held you. It's good. All right, and then oh, I didn't see the whole thing. You should have said something.
all right.
Go ahead.
What?
I don't know. Were you going to say something?
No.
Oh. And then what about the next bit, which I will actually send to you now? Uh, this seems the whole idea of surviving being alone is pretty ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because this is like it's like the Donnie Darko argument that's made that all living things die alone. You know, you don't bring anyone with you when you die.
Yeah.
You just die.
Yeah.
And you existed for a long period of time, not being, or you exist with most of your time not being with anyone else. I would imagine for most people.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have any thoughts on the idea of surviving being alone?
Um, I think I think all I can speak of is from personal experience,
Well, yeah,
and I would just say I don't prefer it.
fair enough.
And I was thinking about this the other day. Um, Whenever I either watch some really great movie or I, you know, have listened to a great new song I've never heard, or find a great bar to go to. It's never enough that I personally experience that I can only find true satisfaction when I show it to someone else.
Right. The magic in sharing.
Yeah. I'm not sure what that says, but something I've noticed about myself.
No, I think that that's perfectly human. This goes back to how in the first episode I mentioned if you and I both watch Star Wars, but not together, it doesn't really mean anything. But if we both watch Star Wars together, like this is a moment that we've created together
Yeah.
watching Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that somehow is special. Like you can't really point exactly why. I mean, I guess we could try. I think it's we shared the same space and time, like we were both there, and maybe
Yeah.
that's all that maybe that's all that needs to be done to have some magic.
Not only that, but there are times when I'll ask my girlfriend if she wants to watch something, watch a specific movie, and she'll say, "Oh, I've already seen that," and I'll kind of be a little upset.
Keep going.
Kind of annoyed that you already had this experience without me. Granted, I've also seen the movie.
Yeah.
It's wanting to share something. Um, you know, wanting to be the one who introduces someone to something.
Oh. Whoa. This is an important distinction. What is it that you want to show someone something for the first time, or that you want to experience something for the first time together?
Um, Let me think about that for a second. Hang on.
Yeah, I think it's very important though. For your interpersonal growth. I think it's very important to
I
have
think
that.
it's a little bit both.
Well, then I think that I think if it's got to be like some absolute value, it would lean more towards being the first to share, because that's something added, right? Whereas the other one is something is just like that's just it. But
Yeah,
being able to share it with someone, having already seen it, is like you also validating that something that you wanted to share, you'll be able to see whether or not they actually enjoyed.
yeah,
It's like, hey, I know that you're gonna like this, and I know that I like it. Let's
yeah,
watch this together instead of we might both like it, but I don't really know.
yeah.
Or is it the same? I don't know. The more I think about it, I'm kind of thinking, is that same? There's some bit of validation though.
Yeah,
Okay. I think that ends this episode.
perfect.
Are we gonna do another one, Mark?
Oh yeah.
We are, okay. Because I was gonna
We're gonna finish the season if
well, no,
we don't get there.
keep paused. I like the idea of you being stuck on episode 6. We'll catch up to 6, and then we'll start moving from 6 on. And after you watch an episode, we'll film one of these episodes.
All right.
Sounds good.
See
Take
you
care.
next time.